This is where we trust nothing and verify everything. Welcome to the Born Files. Today's briefing, we're going to be looking into a woman in 2018 saying during a TED Talk that pedophiles are nothing but a sexuality and we should embrace it in our culture just like we've embraced LGBTQ+. Also, in Alberta, they're rolling back DEI policies. Apparently, they are not feasible and they're starting to see that, and all you really need is orders from the top to get it done. Then, in UK, there's a 20-year-old who has his parents call the police on him because he's a far-right influencer. This and more coming up. So, I was highly disturbed by this video because this person is basically advocating just in the same way that people were advocating for gay and lesbian and trans, by just saying that we should include these people in our society and that there's nothing wrong with what they're doing because this is just how they feel inside and they should just be able to embrace it, and it's actually our fault for not letting them embrace it. Let's take a look.
I want to quickly summarize where we are at the moment. According to current research, pedophilia is an unchangeable sexual orientation, just like, for example, heterosexuality. No one chooses to be a pedophile. No one can cease being one. The difference between pedophilia and other sexual orientations is that living out this sexual orientation will end in a disaster. Right now, most of us feel discomfort when we think about this scenario.
As we should.
And most of us feel discomfort when we think about pedophiles. But just like pedophiles, we are not responsible for our feelings. We do not choose them. But we are responsible for our actions. And we must make a decision. It is in our responsibility to reflect and to overcome our negative feelings about pedophiles, and to treat them with the same respect we treat other people with. We should accept that pedophiles are people who have not chosen their sexuality and who, unlike most of us, will never be able to live it out freely if they want to lead an upright life. We should accept that pedophilia is a sexual preference, a thought, a feeling, and not an act. We should differentiate between child sexual abuse and pedophilia. We shouldn't increase the suffering of pedophiles by excluding them, by blaming and mocking them. By doing that, we increase their isolation and we increase the chance of child sexual abuse. Only if they make themselves recognizable, because they're not afraid of punishment, of anger and rejection, can we better understand the causes of pedophilia, and we can improve their treatment.
So I don't even know where to start. She starts off this whole speech by saying that pedophilia en masse in society would ruin society. And then she goes and advocates for it. She basically says, oh, doing this disgusting act to children would destroy society, but we should let them do it anyway. And then she says that they're not responsible for the feelings they have inside. This is what we hear with the gay people and the lesbian people, right? They're not responsible. They didn't choose to be gay. It's just a feeling that they have inside, and we should embrace them. And this is the natural progression of LGBTQ ideology. The ideology is basically, you're not responsible for how you feel, and you should be able to act on how you feel no matter what. So let's put it into a hypothetical scenario. Let's say I'm a heterosexual man. I feel an active urge to sleep with attractive women all the time. Is that what heterosexual men do all the time? No. We choose one woman, we get married to them, and we have sex with one woman. Even though we're attracted to multiple women, that doesn't mean that we're acting on it. So if heterosexual men can control themselves and have sex with just one woman, then it suffices to say that if you are attracted to children, if you are attracted to men and you're a man, if you're attracted to women and you're a woman, that you should also be able to control your sexual deviancy and not act on your behaviors. But no, 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 no. This is not what this woman is fighting for. She's saying that all of your desires that you want to act on, see that hunger that you felt at 3 a.m. and you just wanted ice cream, you just wanted a cookie, instead of going to sleep and just forgetting that you're hungry and eating in the morning like a regular person, what she's saying is that urge you feel to touch children, this is the urge that you should enact yourself on. And this is the thing, right? She talks about it just going to destroy the society. Yes, it will destroy society. You know why it's going to destroy society? Because just like LGBTQ plus and pedophilia, the same thing happens when it comes to sexuality. None of this is reproducing. Heterosexual relationships between a man and a woman, an adult male and adult female, this is positive because it leads to reproduction in most cases. Yes, there are some cases where people are infertile and they cannot give birth, but for the most part, 99% of the time, the relationship makes sense because you can actually reproduce. You cannot reproduce with a child. You cannot reproduce with a man if you're a man. You cannot reproduce with a woman if you're a woman. So all of this sexual deviancy we're seeing in society, this is an idea that is being pushed. This is not natural. This is not organic. We talk about the LGBTQ social contagion. Well, what is that? The more that you talk about it, the more that you make it natural and make it normal in society, the more that you're going to see an increase in people identifying as LGBTQ plus that probably wouldn't have had they not have even heard of it. I saw a video the other day of a woman basically saying that her daughter was bullied in school because her daughter looked like a transgender boy.
Yep, this is me removing my daughter's hairstyle after 2 days of her wearing it. A girl in her class asked her if she was transgender. And this definitely broke my heart because she's on this natural hair journey. She's been doing a lot of researches about hair porosity and stuff like that, and she wanted to embrace her natural hair, and that's what she was asked. We emailed the principal that same day, and we set up a meeting, and it was resolved because we were not about to just let this slide. They have to know that, listen, don't play with my child. I remember back then when I was going to school, my mom would probably come to the school and fight somebody. Okay? I'm just really hoping that this doesn't affect her in a way where she doesn't love her natural hair anymore. Hope she can continue on this natural hair journey. Kids can be so mean at times, and a lot of times it's jealousy. So I just let her know, don't let none of them try to steal her shine.
So a boy that turned into a girl. That's what they're saying about her daughter. How do they even know what that is? They only know that they can diss you. When I was a kid in elementary school, no one said anyone looked like a transgender person just because they look slightly tomboyish. No one said that because we didn't even know what it was. We didn't know what it was. We used the word gay and stuff because we knew what that was. We didn't know transgender. So you're just making it easier for these kids to get picked on, like these OnlyFans girls kids will be picked on in a while. But it's just the idea that she's bringing up is just so crazy and it's so irresponsible. And obviously this is going viral now because of the Epstein files. We all know that there is a ring of crazy people that are abducting and doing disgusting things to children, and this is her trying to normalize it. No, it's your fault. You're a bigot. You're a weirdo. How dare you stop this person from enacting on their natural urges they can't control? Are you insane? What's wrong with you? Something's wrong with us for not wanting these things to be in our society. It's completely crazy. But enough for the bad news. Let's move on to the good news. So DEI seems to be being rolled back in Alberta, and this is an article I actually read by a woman named Jamie Sarkonak. I'm so sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I did not mean to. It's titled DEI in Universities Can Be Defeated. Just look at Alberta. And so Alberta is basically creating a model that we can all look at to dismantle DEI, and not just DEI, but other woke policies. And it seems to be around funding, and it seems to be around authority. So what happened was Premier Daniel Smith sent a mandated letter to her ministers outlining marching orders for the upcoming months So, Justice Minister Mickey Amiri received instructions to, quote, review and reform hiring practices in Alberta public institutions to ensure that they are based on merit, competence, and equality of all persons rather than DEI ideology. So, no legislation has come from this yet, but the warning shot must have rung loudly in the ears of university administration. This is what it says in the article. Their attempt in earlier 2025 to distance themselves from DEI by rebranding it as access, community, and belonging. Imagine that. They're just trying to figure out what words they can use to say it without saying it so that they can get away with it in their institutions, but we're not stupid. We can see right through this. And obviously, it failed. The discriminatory policies remain on the books. This is what happens. You need to attack it at its core. Otherwise, they just keep it on the books and they just keep doing it. So, they still have this diversity quota thing going on in the universities, but it's going to become a problem soon. I'll show you why as the article continues. So today, the university is still running race-restricted job competitions. It's currently searching for an Indigenous faculty member in kinesiology, and a job posting for a new counseling psychology professor states a preference for applicants with a strong record of clinical supervision and work with equity-denied communities. Equity-denied communities. What does that mean? It means we want to hire someone that has worked with black people, Asian people, Indian people, minorities. That's who they're looking to hire. It also home to an anti-racist lab. I don't even know what that is. Anti-racism lab. I actually looked into it. Even after reading about it, I still was confused on what the hell they actually do. Like, what is an anti-racism lab? Anyway, they say that they're tasked at decolonial and anti-racist policies and practices. So they're trying to decolonize the colonized Canada, I guess. Like, that's their goal. They're trying to decolonize Canada. Completely ridiculous. Anyway, here's actually their recruitment policy. This is literally on their website. This is their actual policy. This is the exact words for it. I'm not going to read all of it. I'll also read the little part. So, equitable, diverse, and inclusive community of employees consistent with the mission set out in its strategic plan for equity, diversity, and inclusivity, EDI. I love how they don't just call it DEI all the time. They like switch up the letters. It's actually kind of funny. And the institutional strategic plan for public good. The university seeks to be a leader in equity, diversity, and inclusivity in recruitment. I mean, this is just insane how far they've gone with this stuff. The recruitment of persons historically underrepresented. What does that mean? If you ever see something that says persons historically underrepresented, they're talking about minorities. I can't believe that they can't just say that. Like, this is the thing I hate about liberals and their ideology is like they have these in Liam DeBoer's video where he talks about the people that are going to destroy society and who these types of people are. There's 7 types of people. One of them are spellcasters. Those are the people like on the news anchors. And then there's the spellbound. These are the spellbound people. These are the people that get their marching orders from CBC, CTV, and global news so that they can know what the new narrative that they're supposed to follow is. And they're so brainwashed by the system that every single part of the system needs to have this foolishness in it. And then they're just predicating it throughout society. So in our institutions, all of our institutions are made up of these same words. Like it's this. Why do you think it's the same words that they use? No matter where it is, it's Alberta, Ontario, whatever. It's always the same words they use because this is what happens when you have your marching orders from the top. You get it from the news anchors and they just spread their ideology. So here's an actual position description for an Alberta posting. This is what it says. Demonstrates expertise in the practice and ethics of psychological assessment. Preference will be given to application with a strong record of clinical supervision and work with equity denied communities. If you have more experience working with black people, then you'll get the job. Meanwhile, the recruitment policy directly states that where there's a tie between 2 similarly qualified candidates, so let's say everything is equal, they both have the same exact qualifications, same exact experience, and everything else is equal. If that happens, the final hiring decision will favor the selection of persons historically underrepresented. What does that mean? If it's between a white woman and a black woman, the black woman wins. If it's between a white woman and a white man, the white woman wins. If it's anything where if they can historically look back, and I guarantee you, when they're doing these hiring practices, they're not actually going back into their records to see how many white men they've hired. They're just gonna default not hire a white man. They're not gonna hire a white person over a minority. They're not gonna hire a man over a woman. Whether they check their records or not, this is just what they're saying. Like, people don't understand. It's just writing that makes it okay for them to do what they're doing, but they're not going to look back at the history at all. They're just going to not hire someone else unless they're a minority. So what they're seeing is that this is actually not working when it comes to funding, when it comes to support, when it comes to public support. So there's no question that measures like these sabotage the university's public image, obviously, because we can all tell what you're doing. So the McDonald Laurier Institute found that learning about the demographic-based hiring practices common in Canadian universities decreases popular trust in the research these universities produce, which makes sense. This is how it goes. So a long time ago, Charlie Kirk, rest in peace to him. He said that if he went onto a plane during the craziest part of DEI in America, if he went onto a plane and he saw that there was a black woman flying the plane, he said he would walk off and he wouldn't get on the plane. Makes sense. If he saw a lesbian black woman flying the plane, he wouldn't get on the plane. Why? Because of this. Because we no longer think that you're actually qualified. We think that you are being hired based on a quota, and they hired you over somebody that doesn't look like you just because you're black, just because you're lesbian, just because you're this, that, or the third. So it makes you, it discredits your work. So if I'm hiring a researcher just because the researcher's black, all of the things that researcher, whether or not they're actually qualified, even if this researcher is actually really good, but none of that matters anymore, because you were hired because you were black. So now I can't distinguish whether I'm going to assume that your work is not as credible as somebody that wasn't hired because they're black. And it just makes sense. And this is their website where they posted the information on their studies. Rising public backlash, Canadian universities and demographic-based faculty hiring. Because it is a crazy backlash, and as it should be. So the student union president, Pedro Almeida, actually had to support the measures to roll back DEI because he knows that he's going to have to face getting the university defunding. And this is the crux. This is the Achilles heel of all policy that is DEI or woke in general. If they believe that is no longer feasible economically, if they believe that their funding will be cut if they pursue this foolish ideology, then they will start to roll it back. And here's a quote. U of A Student Union President Pedro Almeida spoke in support of the draft policy, citing the MITS report. He emphasized the argument that using EDI language, DEI, jeopardizes the university's ability to gain public support and provincial funding as it should. And this is why we have to look into the actual origins of DEI. So there's this woman named Roselia Abella. 1984, she has this famous quote. Equality in employment is not achieved by treating everyone the same, but by treating people as equals, which may mean treating them differently. Here's the problem with this quote. What she's basically saying is, let's use an example. If I have a child and I have an adult, and I need to treat them both equally in terms of portions of food, the only way I would be able to treat them equally is if I treat them differently. What does that mean? I have to give the adult more food than I give the child. Even though the portions of food that I give them is not equal, I'm treating them based on their need. See, the problem with this is in the interpretation that they took from what she said, her quote, it doesn't map onto reality the way that they think it's supposed to. What you should really do is recruit and employ people based on the needs of the company and the needs of the institution that you're hiring them into. But what they're doing is they're going past the need and they're going, okay, we're just going to hire based on a quota-based system. So an institution won't be successful, more or less successful, just because the person that's working there is black, white, Asian, whatever. You should hire based on the need. So if you actually take this quote and you don't take it out of context and you do it in its context, what you're basically saying is, in order for us to hire people and treat them as equal, we should treat them differently in terms of how accessible and how easy it is for this person to work in this institution. That's how I see it. So me as a landscaper, I have a landscaping company. I wouldn't hire someone that doesn't have arms. And I'm sure that the person that doesn't have arms would be able to be more fulfilled in a different job because they don't have arms, a job that maybe requires only legs, maybe it only requires thinking, maybe it requires you to be able to speak into your phone and it just produces writing for you. But this person's skill set would not be good for an actual landscaping job because most of it is physical, most of it with your hands and with your body. So in order to treat people equally, we need to treat them differently is not the way that they're doing it right now with DEI. That's why we need to get rid of DEI. And as a black person, as a black man, I don't want to be hired because I'm black because it's going to discredit all my work. People are going to assume that I'm actually not good at what I'm doing because I was only hired because I was black. That's what it said on the application. And I really wanted to keep talking about the DEI stuff, but we got to move on because we're running out of time. So next is the story about the 20-year-old that had his police called on him by his own parents for being a right-wing influencer. Let's take a look. This is kind of insane.
My son is 22 and he's really radicalized.
Radicalized?
What's your address? Concerned he's harming himself.
I'm not harming myself.
What's your concern with him in his room?
I'm a political commentator.
Really right wing. He's posting
Oh my
stuff
God.
online. He's shouting at us. Using to come at us.
This is so dramatic.
Just take a deep breath for me so I can understand you.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Just look at your wrist.
You don't scare me, Dad.
Do I not? Do I
No.
not?
What is wrong with you?
Do I-
Why are you
do not?
assaulting me?
Do I not?
Why are
scare
you assaulting me? Why are you assaulting me?
Shut the fuck up, you parasite. I have brought you up for fucking 20 years.
Let me leave.
What the fuck have you become?
Let me leave.
What have you become?
Let me
I want you to
walk-
leave. Jesus Christ, we've been
Then let me walk out that door. Let me walk
What
out that door.
have you-
Let me walk out that door.
What
Let
have
me
you become?
walk out that door.
Answer my question.
Nothing. I just want to preserve this nation. Do you not understand?
You will not win this war.
Yes, I will.
No, you won't.
I'm leaving this house. Right
I
now.
want you to leave. I don't want you to come back.
I'm leaving right now.
I want you to go right now.
I'm leaving
Go.
right now.
Or
Go.
anyone else?
Oh my God,
I'm
now
leaving.
he's filming us.
No, I'm leaving.
You, I have nothing to hide.
You're off to jail tonight, by the way. You just assaulted me.
You,
I want to leave. I want nothing to do with you.
good luck.
He has to leave. That's crazy. This is 60 years of indoctrination. This is 60 years of brainwashing. This is 60 years of watching BBC and just doing exactly what they say. Whatever BBC says is the truth. This is loyalty to an ideology over the loyalty of your family. Why are family members getting in this state of mind with their own child, the child that he raised? He even says, I brought you up for 20 years. I never raised you to be like this, son. You never raised me to defend my nation. You never raised me to stop mass immigration. You never raised me from stopping the demographical change of my nation. You never raised me to stand up for what I believe in. You never raised me to do what I think is right. Is that what you're saying? You never raised your son to be? I mean, the amount of brainwashing that has to happen for you to treat your own son like this. She is crying. The mother is crying to the police officers because his son makes videos online about how he wants to keep his nation looking the way that it was looking historically. And this is the problem with the fact that we have all this media just destroying the minds of our parents. The older generation is completely cooked. Completely cooked. They're done for. Because the brainwashing that they've gone through is at such high levels that I don't think it's going to be able to be undone. I mean, they literally just watched their son walk out, and the dad literally says that he's okay with his son leaving. Kicking your son out to the wilderness because he has different political views. And this is something that I find very strange. Like, instead of just sitting your son down and like talking to him, like you're calling the police. Like, this is insane. Who talk? I didn't raise you to be like this, son. I'm not gonna talk to you. Get out of my house. Should we treat liberals like this? If I have a liberal son, it's perfectly okay for me to just make him homeless. This is the same argument that they have with the trans people and the LGBT people, right? We didn't accept them for who they were, and we sent them to camps so then they can be told to stop being gay. What are those called again? Those institutions. And this is exactly what they're doing to us. They're saying, hey, you're not allowed to have the views that you have. And if you do, you can't be a part of our society. Well, I appreciate that guy, that kid, standing up for what he believes in, saying he's not afraid of his father, his brainwashed NPC father that just takes his marching orders from the BBC. And more of us need to stand up. More of us need to have a backbone so that we can stop the destruction of our societies. And until that happens, nothing's going to change. I'm Joseph Bourne. This is the Bourne Files. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, share, comment below. What do you think that they don't want us to talk about? Comment that below. Let's have a discussion. I want to hear from you guys. And until next time, peace.